The cult of personality.
Greetings, every people. This is your cult of personality, your Toon Critic's name, and Toon's the name of my game. So if you follow me on Patreon, yes, we have finally hit a goal. It's now time to talk about the top 7 favorite Disney movies of the Toon Critic cult of personality, whom is me. Yeah, let's do this. Number 7 is Atlantis: The Lost Empire. Now, to be fair, when this movie first came out, I was not initially hooked on it. When I thought about Atlantis coming back to this list, I wasn't sure whether or not it deserved the number 7 spot, so I had to rewatch it. I can see now why it is going to be on this list. The one thing I love about this movie is that there is so much diversity to it. It has an amazing voice cast, ranging from Michael J. Fox to Cree Summer to freaking Leonard Nimoy. The diversity comes with all the different characters, their ethnicities, their backstories, the stories that they have with each other, and really what you can dig from them. It's amazing to see how it all comes together. And also, Atlantis itself is absolutely beautiful. For back in the early 2000s, this was really impressive for some people. I can't remember a movie that impressed me during that time other than like Titan AE. And there's also another movie around this time that'll be on this list too, so bear in mind with that. The main reason that I like Milo is that when I look at him, I see that people look down on him. He's like, oh, you shouldn't dream, you should just stick to this, you're never going to be able to find Atlantis. But no, it's just that moment, it's that scene where he's finally found Atlantis with Kida, and it's a real tearjerker, feelsy moment there that I enjoy. It really sucks that Atlantis did not get the recognition that it deserved. It kind of just got squashed, and now that people are talking about it again, I think now's a pretty good time to look into it. And also, do yourself a favor, don't go anywhere near the sequel. The sequel, they tried to do something with it, but yeah, it's kind of a mess. Also, if I ever were to make a top 7 hottest Disney characters list, you can be sure that Kida would be on there. But since I'm never going to do that, that's never going to happen. Number 6 is The Nightmare Before Christmas. And yes, I know it's technically not a Disney movie, but since it was in Kingdom Hearts, I think that's good enough for me. Also, this is my list, so I'll go with this however I want. Nightmare Before Christmas is a strong musical that still stands up to this day. It is a cult classic. Everyone talks about it. Every Burton fan should know it, and I love it. It's a brilliant stop-motion masterpiece, I think, that shows what it's like to try new things. I can understand Mr. Skellington's perspective with him wanting to try something different to spice up his life, but you have to understand that maybe what you're doing, you have to just look at it from a different perspective. Because granted, we all know that things can get boring in our lives, but trying to take over Christmas may not be the best idea. Also, Oogie Boogie is one of the coolest Disney villains. If I were ever to make a top 7 Disney villains list, Oogie Boogie would be on that. The guy has a flair to him, this unique persona, this just this aura that he gives off. And it's a shame that we didn't really get to see more of him, but what we got was pretty spooky. This is probably my favorite Tim Burton movie, and though I'm not really used to his style, I'm gonna be honest, it's not my favorite style, but I can get behind it. Maybe it's because I've seen so many different styles try to imitate Burton, or I've just seen so much of this that it's not as spooky or cool as I remember it. That is not saying that it's not cool. You know, some things change for some people, but I still really enjoy it, and Night Before Christmas is still a real treat. It's a movie you can watch on both Halloween and Christmas. It transcends that pretty much, and that's, I think, what makes it great. Number 5 is Aladdin. Now, I wasn't sure if I wanted to put Aladdin on this list, but when I went to Disney again for Pacific PonyCon with Keyframe and Golden Fox and Lightning Bliss, we saw the last stage show of Aladdin. So, seeing that, and then having seen Aladdin prior when I was just kind of just chilling and watching movies on TV, I feel that it was more nostalgic that I put it on this list, but looking at the movie again, it's still pretty tight. And not to mention, this is one of my favorite movies growing up. Genie was my hero. He was the coolest character that I had ever seen, and Robin Williams played a big part in my childhood. Rest in peace, man. You will always be remembered, and Genie, I think, was personally your best role. Aladdin is a simple story that I enjoy. It's a real tale as old as time. It's a romance, it's a comedy, it's got so much going for it. It looks great to this day. It really makes me appreciate the classics more. Aladdin is one of my all-time favorite classics. Number 4 is Wreck-It Ralph. Now, Wreck-It Ralph was a movie I was waiting for quite a while. Wreck-It Ralph was a movie I was really looking forward to, and needless to say, the hype for it definitely paid off. Wreck-It Ralph took the idea of how a villain could redeem himself and just run with it. They wanted it to show that, well, I think as the movie put it, you can be a bad guy, but that doesn't make you a bad guy. I loved that because that put a whole new perspective on villains for me. I've always loved villains, and seeing a movie tackle a different perspective from the villains, making the villain the hero, was a pretty good idea. I saw that in Megamind as well, and both these movies did a great job exploring that concept. It's a unique story that shows that you can be more than just what you are. Also, the best way I could sum this up is Toy Story for video games. It's super cool to see how there's a world behind the arcade, there's all these different characters, all the cameos were pretty nice, but when you think about it, the cameos are not why you came for the movie, you came for the story, and the story itself, with its unique characters and the way they approach things, that's what puts it at number 4. Also, back in the day, you can click a link in the description below to see one of my original reviews. Oh dear, yeah, one of my original reviews of Wreck-It Ralph. It's still one of my favorite old reviews, so if you'd like to check that out, go right ahead. Number 3 is The Lion King. Yeah, this was my number 1 favorite for quite a while, but then I thought, you know, I can't be biased and just put Lion King as the number 1. Lion King was my first movie that I can remember seeing, and I watched it so many different times, but it's weird because while I still remember it fondly and I remember that it stands the test of time, I like the sequel, I love Timon and Pumbaa the series, when I look at this movie now, I can rip and riff it to shreds, but I think doing so actually makes the movie more enjoyable because now that I'm a reviewer, I can look at The Lion King and say, yeah, there were some pretty silly parts in this, but I still enjoy The Lion King. I can still look at it and remember the whole, remember who you are, Hakuna Matata, you know, all the great messages behind it. There's so much more to The Lion King that I haven't looked at in quite a while, but getting to rewatch it again reminds me of why it is one of my all-time favorites. Number 2 is Treasure Planet. Okay, so a while back I did my top 7 favorite animated sci-fi movies, and Treasure Planet was my number 1. It is easily the coolest sci-fi movie Disney has ever made. It makes space look absolutely beautiful. And it was a real shame that this movie just got squashed by all these other movies. It's a cult classic now. Everybody should watch this and respect how amazing this movie is. It has perhaps my all-time favorite Disney song in there, I'm Still Here. I feel I can connect a bit with Jim Hawkins as well because of, I guess, the loner personality. Plus, the concepts that this movie brought, it was like, you know, the solar board and the ships themselves. It was like pirates in space. Space pirates, man. How could you go wrong with that? It was so awesome to watch all that come together. You also had a great supporting cast as well, minus Ben, was it? Yeah, this movie could have gone without Ben. I didn't think we needed a really annoying sidekick, but I guess I could understand why he was in there. He was kind of a plot device. Also, this has to have one of the coolest finales for any Disney movie, right up there with Zootopia, right up there with Atlantis, right up there with Lion King, right up there with all the greats, I think. And my number 1 favorite Disney movie is The Emperor's New Groove. I love the heck out of this movie. It is easily the most quotable, the funniest Disney movie that I can pick. I love this movie. And I don't know what else to really say about it because when I think of Emperor's New Groove, I just think there's so much life, there's so much energy to it. And whenever I'm down, I just like to watch a few clips from it. It's a great thing I like to quote with my friends. Why it's my number 1, when I look at this movie, I see Kuzco as one of the most relatable characters. How he goes from this arrogant guy to, you know, turning into a llama and then having to go through all of this just to get home. Of course, he's a dick at first, but I like the way that he's portrayed. He's a dick, but he's a lovable dick, you know? You gotta get behind that for a character. Every character in this movie is great. They're spot on, they're memorable, there's so much fun behind it. It's my number one because there's so much energy and life to it, and I would definitely recommend this to anyone who has never seen it before. It's a classic, it's a gem, it's my all-time favorite Disney movie. Before I end this video, I want to make something very clear. Cartoons is not going to be taking over this channel. I don't care what kind of mind games he thinks he's playing at, but it's going to take more than hashtags and Batman voice modifiers to make me give up all that I've worked for. You guys deserve nothing but the best, and I'm here every time to bring it to you because it's fun, because I enjoy being the cult of personality for you all. I realized a long time ago I was never going to be the best, but I found my place here, and it's because of you guys that I keep going, and no Thunderblight Lethal Aurora ripoff, yes, I've read the comments, is going to take that away from you guys. That I can promise you. I am not afraid of you, cartoons. Next time we meet, I'm going to end this game, and you're going to go back to being the same old joke you've always been. So yeah, this has been my top 7 favorite Disney movies for you all. I hope you all enjoyed it. Go ahead and put down in the comments what your favorite Disney movie is. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, Twitter, Patreon, all of that good stuff. With that being said, I am the Toon Critic, keeping you totally tuned for your entertainment. Stay awesome.